Yes, guys, so it is round 11 of the Thursday Night League. So the final two rounds of the championship, it is crunch time. And this is the start of the race. We're on the Cliff Drop bus stop layout, and we qualified in pole position by 2 seconds, again in these wet conditions. So pace was not a problem, and yeah, it was an eventful race from start to finish. So we can see didn't get the best of starts here. We could see the kart on our outside there, which is Mr. Danby, fellow championship rival. So we can see here, this is where the mistake happened. I should have defended my inside here, but you can see Rich's front bumper is just there, so I couldn't quite hit the apex, but I parked it on this curb here. But obviously lost my drive coming into four. Now this was all my doing here. So obviously I see Rich on the inside of me. And what I tried to do was rotate the kart on the brake and on the curb so I could V the corner off because there was a puddle on the outside there. And what happened was it worked perfectly, but the rear end of the kart did touch the grass, which is what spun me. So at this point, given the pace that I've had in the wet conditions over the last few rounds, I wasn't really too concerned at all, to be totally honest. And I think my pace reflected that. So I was very, very confident even now that I could still come back and win the race, but obviously I needed to get a move on, which you're going to see over the next couple of laps, where we are literally just diving through, trying to get through the traffic here. So we're just doing some unconventional wet lines, a little bit of contact there, but at the end of the day, this is crunch time. It's a championship on the line here, so I wasn't taking any prisoners. I was just forcing my way through, which you'll see later on in the video didn't actually help me at all with this driver in front, who funnily enough was actually a very nice guy, having a little chat before and after the race, but you can see here he's just slowing me down. And what you'll see coming up in a minute is he basically he completely took me out, cleaned me out straight into the wall, and that's what cost me the race. I think obviously we can see that we're nowhere near the leaders at the minute, and after the next incident, which are probably going to, I think it's actually this next lap, or maybe the lap after, we managed to close the gap down. So I think at one point it was about 5 seconds or something like that, after probably losing the best part of 20 seconds during these two incidents. So the pace was there. Again, in this race we were the fastest by quite a big margin. It was about just over nearly 1.2 seconds, something like that, from the second fastest. So what you see there, I'll give him a little gentle nudge of encouragement. Okay, and now that puts me on the inside of this corner here. Now, obviously, you can see a yellow flag waving there, so it's a bit of a difficult one. I didn't know whether to give the place back or not, but I'd kind of already fully committed to the inside. Now, this is the incident, and I was absolutely fuming about this. There we go. So obviously, he's completely taken me out of the race, and coming into this round, I was 4 points ahead going into this round in the championship. And now, obviously, from this point onwards, it's about recovering positions without basically crashing again, which I very nearly did just there, and basically just trying to make up as many places as I can. In my head, I mentioned this on the other video. I think me from a couple of 6 months ago, I would have ended up in the wall again, just trying too hard. But I was just trying to use my head, trying to stay calm. I knew I had the pace to catch up and probably finish second. I didn't think I was going to be able to catch Rich. I was actually quite surprised how quickly I did catch Rich. But from a results perspective, it now puts me 2 points behind going into the final championship round. So it's still all to play for, and it's literally going to be winner takes all. So whoever beats each other out of me and Rich will win the championship, which is a high pressure situation, but it's also quite fun at the same sense. I wasn't too happy about it yesterday, but thinking about it now, it's probably going to be quite good fun. We probably won't be talking to each other too much on the day. So yeah, no, it's going to be good. I was disappointed, and I think the key thing is for any other drivers watching this, it's like you need to find the positive in every situation. If you dwell on it too much, you're just going to ruin your mindset going into the next race. And I think for me, the positive takeaways was I was by far the fastest driver on track, and that's the biggest takeaway for me, because on the drive up here, me and my mate Mike share the drive up here. Up to the track every day. It's about an hour drive from us, and we always have a little bit of banter and chat shit on the way there. And you know, he was kind of saying to me on the way there. He said, "Look, you know, if it's wet, it's you're gonna win this." Which, you know, on paper, yes, that is, you know, based on current form, that is a given. And obviously, again today, you know, the pace was, you know, pretty fucking impressive. But you know, I've been in this game a long time. I used to race bikes before I started. Had a nice long break from racing, and I come back to do karting. One thing is for sure, you know, anything can happen in racing. And you know, I said to him, I said, like, you know, at the end of the day, if I'm the fastest, the only person that's going to beat me is me, and that's exactly what happened in this race. And you know, maybe a little bit too confident, I don't know, or based on previous results in the wet. But again, like, you know, pace is there. So it was mine to lose, and I lost it at the end of the day. So anyway, less of the sob story, but you know, at the end of the day, it was a good race. And funnily enough, we're actually just catching the driver up now that did take me out. So in my head, I'm just like, oh, should I just absolutely send this guy into the shadow realm? But, and then again, you know, the new and improved mindset saved me, because I thought, you know what, I need to get past, and I need to just focus on the job now, and I can have a word with him afterwards in the pits, which I did. So don't worry about that. So we passed in there on the inside. I blocked the line going into turn one. So now we've got a nice bit of clear track, as we're looking just to you know, gain time back on the leading group. And you know, we do take quite a good chunk out of these guys very, very quickly. Again, that puddle there on the outside was a little bit annoying on the outside of turn 4 there. Normally I like to run the wet line all the way around the outside, but we were kind of sort of having to, you know, rotate a little bit early and kind of just get the car away from that puddle. Otherwise, if you go through the puddle, you're just killing so much speed. But now we're, you know, as you can see, we're pretty rapidly catching the guys up in front, which, to be fair, I think we were this is the other guys in the heavyweights. We've got Ben, we've got Dave, we've got Mike. I think I was about 5 seconds a lap faster than these guys. So obviously, you know, that's why I'm catching up so quickly. Because I think, you know, the red mist from the 2 crashes was just definitely fueling some pretty impressive lap times. And it was kind of like, yeah, I felt like I was going to crash pretty much every corner. But I think that's the way to go fast in the wet. You need to feel that, because once you've got that sensation of you're going to fall off the track and you don't, that kind of sets the new benchmark. So then you try and flirt with it a little bit more. You'll see me just gesticulating there to this lightweight driver, because he was looking to let me pass, but I was just kindly trying to, you know, get him to move out the way, but he kind of moved himself out the way there, which was good for me. Again, here, this was a lovely, easy position gained. I did run wide there as well, because I was a little bit distracted. Mike there spinning out of second place, I think he was at the time, and then that made that job a little bit easier. And then you're going to see a sequence of overtaking here with Ben and Dave. So you'll see here we're catching pretty quickly already on Ben, and we give him a little love tap coming through here, I think, or coming on the exit here, and then he kind of, I think he folded under the pressure and spun himself out at turn 4 here, which you're about to see now. Lovely. See you later, mate. That Lando Norris helmet didn't help him too much there, unfortunately, but yeah, we got past him nice and easy. And then again, to be fair, this basically put me back into second place. This you know, half a lap was actually perfect for me, because I didn't actually lose any time. So you can see here as well, Dave runs a little bit too wide here on the exit and kind of understeers there off the track into the barrier. And I'm like, right, I ain't backing off, and I just sort of forced my way up around the outside. You'll see him a little bit here on the inside, and I just kicked the speed on the outside, and I was just like, right, now let's just try and close that gap down on Danby out in front. What the biggest surprise to me on this layout, and considering it was actually snowing in practice, so the practice session was absolutely horrendous. It was snow, sludge everywhere. Yeah, it was not fun at all. So the track that you're seeing now is a dramatic improvement compared to how it was. And it was very surprising, because there was a lot of grip on the track, like more than I've been through the cliff drop in the dry with less grip than there was today in the wet. So I was carrying a lot of speed with the front end through that cliff drop, which is where I was making quite a lot of time. You see a couple of lightweights taking each other out there. So At this point, I'm just, just reading off the laps. I'm just kind of hoping for some sort of incident to slow Richard down, or a full course yellow, something like that, just to allow me to catch back up. Which you'll see later on in the video. There is actually a yellow flag for about a lap or so. But unfortunately, I was stuck behind two of the lightweight back markers, and one of them see me, and he was trying to let me past, which you'll see in a little while. And I was just like, mate, I can't overtake, but whilst I'm trying to speed him up, he's slowing down to about a walking pace. So I actually ended up losing a hell of a lot of time there, which was very frustrating. But it wasn't our day. It was as simple as that. We did the best we could with the cards we were dealt. We were fast, but we didn't win, which was a bit annoying. But that's life. We've still got one round to go, and the goal is to win that race and wrap up the championship. But the fight talk is coming. The mind games are starting to come in now in the Fat Boy group chat. So it's all fun and games. That was kind of lucky, that guy there who'd spun on the inside, because I didn't actually see him until luckily he had his hand up, and I just see a hand as I was tipping in. I was obviously looking for my apex, and I just see a hand kind of like above the tyres, and I was like, oh, that doesn't look normal, and then it kind of like made me lift off a little bit. So thankfully he had his hand up there, otherwise I think I probably just went straight into him. But I'm going to jump out of this for a bit, and I will jump back in when there's a little bit more action coming up. So, as I mentioned earlier, this is the part of the race where the yellow flag come out. Now, what you'll see here is the cart in front maintains about a 50% speed, which not the cart directly in front of the cart that you're pulling away in the distance. Now, this guy in front of me now is literally going to slow down to, a walking pace, and I'm just like, mate, what are you doing? Trying to get him to close the gap, and now he's trying to wave me past. And it's like, I can't overtake you because of the yellow flag. So, we lost a lot of time here as well, which is highly, highly frustrating. But it is what it is. Again, it's another thing that kind of just sort of went against me in the race today. But at the end of the day, all of this stemmed from my own mistakes, you know what I mean? That mistake on the first lap is what put me in this position where I was kind of exposed to, like the takeout. I wouldn't have been racing with that guy at all. If I wouldn't have crashed at the first corner, or the first lap I should say, and then obviously in this yellow flag it wouldn't have really mattered, but yeah, if buts maybes, but I'll jump back in a bit when the race starts to heat up again. Right, so we've got up to back of another kart in the lightweight class. So again, the goal is just to get past as quickly as we can, but also try not to make any mistakes. That one was, absolutely perfect for me, to be fair. He went a little bit wide. I was on a slightly tighter trajectory and carried it around the outside. It's like as I've said in the last couple of videos, overtaking in the wet is pretty, it's always a bit of a 50-50 because these guys can spin at any time, and you don't want to get caught up in their accident. So this is the fellow heavyweight here, which we're lapping. And that again was just another, perfect position in there in terms of when the overtake happened. And now, we just continue the pursuit to catch up with the leader. I think we've got probably about five or so minutes left to go in the race now. And it's just, for me, I'm just kind of racing myself, just trying to just go faster. Now, interestingly, based on my lap time delta and stuff like that, so I set the fastest lap of the race, which was 147.9. The second fastest lap of the race, I think, was a 49.1. So obviously there's a good 1.2 seconds there. But my optimal lap, which is the best sectors that I did, best sector time I did in each sector, was actually at 146.6. So that's a big chunk of time. It was just obviously yellow flags, back markers, that sort of thing, which was kind of preventing to put the whole lap together, all mistakes as well, of course. But anyway, I feel like I blow it. if you see then, I'd give Rich a little wave, because at this point I'm thinking, well, I'm not going to catch him, but I'm going to try and distract him and let him just, if he can, glaze eyesight at me and see that I'm physically catching him, he might make a little bit of a mistake. So that was actually quite funny. I was giving him a little wave there, trying to get his attention, just to, in the hope that if he notices that I'm coming, he might start over focusing on the gap coming down, and then might make a mistake, or might make a bit of a rush decision when he's doing a bit of an overtake, which you'll see towards the end of this race. Actually, the last couple of laps, because Rich caught up to a battling pack of lightweights, and he couldn't get past, and there was a point, I think I finished 6 seconds off of him at the end, but I think at one point it was well below that. It was maybe 2-3 seconds, but unfortunately coming into the final corner, which you'll see later on in the race, Rich went up the inside of one of the back markers, and the other back marker spun on the race, and I was kind of just killed with my drive. I mean, I wouldn't have won the race anyway, but I would have probably been maybe a second or two behind rather than 6. So but you can see Rich there on the other side of the track, and that gap is definitely coming down pretty rapidly. I'll jump back in, and there's probably a couple of minutes left of this race now, so I'll jump back in the next couple. So things are starting to heat up a little bit now. I think this is actually, this is the last lap of the race. And as you can see, there's quite a gaggle of karts up ahead. And the race leader in heavyweights, Rich, is in this gaggle of karts. So I'm just, I just go straight up the curb there. I was like, if there's any possibility of Rich getting slowed down, held up or whatnot, I'm making sure I'm going to be there to capitalise. So that there was definitely a track limits warning, but fuck it, we did it anyway. And again, it's just kind of like me trying to get past these guys, and like you see here, that was a completely different line there. Trying to just get past, and obviously, in reality, I knew there's no way I was going to catch up in this lap anyway, but on the off chance there may be a little bit of last lap chaos in the pack that Rich is now approaching, I just need to make sure I was as close as I could be to capitalise on that. Like you see here, there's another nice little move here, showing to the barrier a little bit. I did say sorry for that, but that was definitely on purpose from my behalf. So a bit of race tactics there. I learned from my previous week's experience when I got Fenton myself. But yeah, we are catching pretty quickly now. You can just see that little gaggle there. That's the group that Rich is kind of like in the middle of, and I'm like, come on, last corner, anything can happen here. And, I'm praying for a bit of luck on my side now, because I felt like, outside of the mistakes that I made, I've drove a pretty solid race, and I'm just like, I think Rich is probably about 2 karts ahead, and there's one gone off there. And I'm like, just happens here. So Rich is just that kart there that spun. I think he spun this kart, and obviously he blocked the line, and I was just like, oh mate, come on, because I thought there might be a little bit of a possibility. I mean, in reality, if that kart didn't spin, I wouldn't have caught up anyway. But that is it. That was that round. So we finished second with the fastest lap. A little bit frustrated, as you can see here. I'm battering my leg. But yeah, that was it. On to the final round. 2 points between myself and Rich. It is game on. You're now going to see in a minute a photo of us on the podium acting like complete knobs. So yeah, cheers guys. I'll catch you soon.